XANDERHAL bombs away. Let's go. XANDERHAL, New Vegas.
So, you guys are probably very familiar with people like Blair White, Calvin Gara, the offensive Teesler.
Calvin Gara. It's Gara, by the way. Dipshit.
Other content creators who are themselves trans, and yet their brand is transphobia. It sounds like an oxymoron, but I like to remind people often that people's identities do not, A, make them smarter or dumber, or B, make them automatically have good opinions on the topics pertaining to their identity. There are, in fact, people who are trans, LGBT, that are very bigoted towards trans.
His editor, whoever his editor is now, I know it's not Cherry anymore, calling out into the universe, whoever is XANDERHAL's editor, the music is way too loud. You need to drop it a few more decibels because it's really hard for me to hear XANDERHAL's yapping over the fucking Elder Scrolls background music, just as a point.
And LGBT people for a variety of reasons. These problems exist, many of them too numerable to break down right now, so we're going to focus on the topic at hand. But one of the people you've likely not thought about in a while is someone named Buck Angel. He is a famous trans man. I believe he used to do porn. I think that's like what he was really famous for, correct me if I'm wrong. And like he's very well known for having like photo shoots where he's just like ripped as fuck, bearded, very hairy. Just like you look at him and you're like, yeah, that's a 50-something-year-old man, all right. Like that is not that is a man, right? Regardless of whether you like him or not, that is definitely a fucking dude, right? This is a dude. Buck Angel is, however, quite vile when it comes to his transphobia, and much of his content, and yes, he does make content now on YouTube, is centered around, you know, the whole like, oh, we gotta fight the trans trenders to support the real trans movement or whatever. And of course, there's that nice helping of self-degradation always thrown in there, like, I am not a trans man, I am not even a man, I am a female that identifies as a male, I am a transsexual male. And then they have to like clarify that they're not delusional enough to think they're really a man so that people will like them. You know, that whole bit. Anyway, I think, honestly, we should start with their most recent video, men pretending to be
We should start with their most recent video. Buck Angel, the dude who was just like, oh, you look at this guy, and he's like a big, hairy, like, fucking buff grandpa, and you're like, that's a man. Anyway, let's look at their YouTube videos. The tactical they-thems, you guys. The tactical they-thems, they're so strong. Your favorite cis ally has the they-them locked and loaded, like a little nuke, to just decimate any trans people that they don't like.
Trans are being transferred to female prisons.
And then he just...
Let's see what this is all about. There's been this, like, long-standing hysteria about the idea that men will pretend to be women and claim to be trans to get transferred to women's prisons, so it'll be like a kid in a candy store, quote-unquote, and they'll just have, like, ripe pickings to rape as many women as they want that are...
We're literally 2 minutes and 48 seconds into this video, and we already have our go-go gadget rape discourse. Jesus Christ.
In the prison with them. And it's like, okay, so for starters, that is like literally the premise of a South Park episode, right? Second, if you think that is a likely occurrence, don't you think that the likelihood of being raped or sexually assaulted in prison, say, by a cis woman or a cis man is worth enough to care about that we should solve that problem? Like, if you're somebody who cares about women's safety, why is the concern that trans women or people pretending to be trans women will...
I will say that this is true. This is something that I actually found really interesting, is that the rates of sexual assault and, like, sexual violence in female prisons are actually statistically higher than the prevalence of sexual assault and rape in male prisons, and that's because of the guards. That is because of the guards. Guards on inmate interactions, not inmate on inmate interactions. That's something that I found to be incredibly interesting. And the other thing that is true, and broken clocks and what have you, is that people will harp on and on and on about, you know, protecting women, keep women safe or whatever, and then within the same breath they're like, I hope that you go to prison and get raped. People, like, especially in the context of women's well-being, safety, live, laugh, loving, or whatever in prison, people usually have pretty negative things to say about people who are in prison, and they don't really give a fuck about the well-being or safety of people in prison. They conveniently only care about women's safety in prison because it's like a turf issue, not necessarily because they give a fuck about the safety of women who have committed crimes and have been convicted of crimes and are, you know, living in prison, right? It is an iconic thing, an ironic thing to point out from a lot of this discourse, which I find very funny.
Do rape specifically, and not the rape being the problem. Of course, they also like to bring up examples about like what if inmates get each other pregnant or whatever, right? As if inmates don't have gay sex sometimes in prisons,
because gay sex notoriously ends up in people getting pregnant. Just in case you guys were wondering, if two men fuck, that will result in pregnancy. Very enlightened taste, XANDERHAL.
Pods, and then sometimes that has resulted very commonly in sexually transmitted diseases spreading, which isn't necessarily getting pregnant, but it is still a thing that can occur from.
Corporate needs you to tell the difference between these two pictures. STD, pregnancy, XANDERHAL, they are the same. Oh, okay.
Anybody having sex, that costs money for the state to accommodate, and it's like a problem for those involved, if it, like in a prison, right? Like, that's a really common thing. Like, there's a reason why there are hospitals and prisons, like STIs run rampant, you know?
XANDERHAL is so enlightened. The reason that they have nurses, and so just for they don't have hospitals in prison, just so you know. They have like nurses, and then they have like medical areas. They're not hospitals in prison, just for starters. And apparently XANDERHAL thinks that the the prison hospitals are just there for like the epidemic of fucking AIDS. Okay.
To transition, and he became a female and started going by July Justine Shelby. Is that right?
Okay, I just want to point something out about this guy. Look how many of his teeth are rotted. I'm not the only one who notices it, right? These aren't even...
XANDERHAL, show us your meth chompers right now. Let's see those little shit-stained chiclets. Let's see them. Go ahead. Go like this to the camera. Go ahead. You won't. You won't. Because we all know that you're getting way too fucking high to be able to brush your teeth twice a day as recommended by your dentist. When's the last time that you flossed, XANDERHAL? Probably never.
Missing teeth. There is actual stuff there. These are like rotted, blackened teeth. I know it's in black and white, but like, it's unmistakable. Look at his bottom...
They're rotten blackened teeth. I know it's in black and white, but please, I'm gonna cry.
Teeth. They're all like every other one, it looks like, is either rotted or graying. Look at that shit.
Decided to transition, and he became a female and started going by July Justine Shelby. Is that right?
Yes.
And Miss Shelby said, I don't want to go to a male prison. I want to go to a female prison.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel.
Wait, is that it? Like, what was the trial about? Was there like a...
Welcome back to my channel. That's my favorite Buck Angel thing ever that he does. My channel. It's so slay.
Rape in the female prison or something?
Maybe we'll get more what a great place on.
So today I'm going to do a reaction on prisoners being transgender women. Prisoners, is it prisoners or are they called inmates? Okay, well we'll just call them inmates. Trans women inmates who are...
Man, I hope Buck Angel goes to jail or prison, ideally, at some point, like for like a day.
Oh my god, I really hope that Buck Angel goes to prison and gets raped. Go Gadget rape discourse. Let's go, XANDERHAL. You're killing it. This is my trans ally dog. Who said it the other day? With allies like this, who needs enemies?
And then he says, "What's up, my fellow inmates?" It would go very well for him. That is not the term that is typically used among...
See, this is like exactly what I was talking about. Like, XANDERHAL doesn't give a fuck about people in prison because here he is like joking that Buck Angel is going to get like fucking raped in prison, and it's hilarious when he does it. But it's not funny at all in the context of like, well, this would never happen in this setting and blah, 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 blah. But here he is like kind of like with a shit-eating grin on his face like, he wouldn't have very much fun in a men's prison, would he? Okay, XANDERHAL, very cool.
The prisoners themselves, usually convict, apparently is the term that's commonly used. Like that's...
XANDERHAL watched like 2 seasons of Breaking Bad, or what's that show? Prison Break. XANDERHAL watched like 2 seasons of Prison Break and was like, I am the expert on prison lingo.
I guess generally like the PC word to use around a prison, but if you call people like criminals or like prisoners or inmates, it sounds like, you know, you sound like a cop, kind of. You know, it doesn't sound good. It's not like, you don't want to have people hear you saying that. I guess he's not going to prison. Hopefully not. But I'm curious, like, if there's a problem with prisoners being trans, like, that's a thing that has to be dealt with or, like, stopped, I guess? Like, does Buck think that if he got arrested and got charged and went to prison, like, he would be a bad person for wanting, I would assume, wanting to be in the men's prison? No, honestly, no. Buck would want to go to the female prison, I bet. He'd assume it'd be like easier and nicer on him and be like, well, no, I'm actually biologically a woman, sorry. And he'd just do that. He'd literally be like the South Park bit where a bearded like man who is 60-something years old.
It's so hilarious that people get raped in prison, you guys. It's so funny. It would be like a South Park episode. Isn't that so funny, you guys? Rape in prison is just like a South Park episode. Oh my god, it's so funny. Tell me more.
Insists he's a woman to the court to be put into a woman's prison. That would be Buck Angel, ironically enough. He would be like the bearded, muscular, big, hairy dude who's like quite old, arguing with the judge saying, I insist, I am a woman and I must be put in the woman's prison. It's like, okay.
Biological male
hilarious. Wow.
Who are being transferred to women's prison in California. California. I think they're being transferred in other states as well, but I'm specifically going to focus on the California state prison system here. And the fact that we have males, biological males, being put in women's prison. And so I have some really great clips.
To be honest, I don't take anybody seriously who pronounces biological like biological. Like when they hit that biological. Like when they hit it like that, when they hit like, I don't take them seriously after they say it like that.
To show you.
No comment.
Because I'm just very shocked that this isn't more prominent within the news media. Well, I guess I'm not shocked. They don't talk about anything that's important. And that
this man does not appear to be a gamer. Why does he appropriate the gaming chair? Well, to be fair, gaming chairs are made to like support your back in a particular.
Okay, we have this conversation every single fucking day, and we will continue to have it. These gaming chairs are not good for your back. Okay, they concave your back. They're bad for your spine. They're bad for neck support. Do not buy these racer back gaming chairs. Okay, they're fucking horrible for you. And I do not trust the shrew that sits in his basement like this and types like this. I do not trust this man who looks like fucking Uncle Fester if you turn this far side. I do not trust this man for suggestions on posture support. Okay, Jesus Christ.
Particular way helpful for when you're sitting up at a computer at a keyboard and you're playing games. You know, it's meant for long bouts of like gaming posture.
It's literally not. These gaming chairs are so fucking uncomfortable, you guys. I'm dead serious. Don't get these fucking chairs. They're so uncomfortable and they're so bad for your back.
Don't tell the truth. So
which is similar to long bouts of, which is similar to streaming posture, to be fair. Streaming/recording posture.
I want to give a shout out to this great site called the Independent Women's Forum, IWF. It's on YouTube, and I'll put a link to it here because I'm going to use some of the videos that they have produced, which are really well produced.
Well, the point is that prisons are already full of rape. Trans people are no. So why, one, would trans people being in prisons be a unique problem? And two, why?
Because it introduces the element of, one, pregnancy, and then like mitigatable circumstances. So like you can say that there's a drug problem in prison. There just is, okay? That doesn't mean that we start selling drugs at commissary, okay? There is like an acceptable level of like baseline criminality that is going to exist in prisons. We don't exacerbate those issues by introducing things that can increase propensity for violence, for rape, for drugs, for any of these other things, right? So the argument very clearly is that if you have somebody who is sexually aggressive towards women or sexually aggressive in general, who is arrested, who is male, who says that I'm a woman, I need to go to a women's prison, that person that introduces an escalated risk of violence. And within that, if you are pregnant and in prison, taxpayers are the ones who foot that bill. That is going to be another issue here as well, okay, is the pregnancy aspect, which is what a lot of people are concerned of it, okay? Like, in general, we can all agree that rape is bad. Rape does happen in prison. The argument against it very clearly is why would we introduce this kind of X factor that would significantly increase the rate of rapes that happen in a female prison by introducing people who are male, who identify as women, who have a history of sexual violence or sexual aggression? Why would you ever put them in that environment? The very simple answer for anyone who has like 5 brain cells and has ever had these kind of arguments before is that prisons and jails should be segregated by level of crime. So if you have somebody who got arrested for having like a dub of weed, that person does not go in there with the rapists and the murderers. They're kept somewhere else, okay? Because we know, if anything, that if you go into prison, if you go into the criminal justice system as a low-level offender and you spend time around criminals, you absorb a lot of that behavior. So we're actually making people worse off. Additionally, if you have someone who is sexually aggressive or sexually violent, that person should be kept away from everyone all the time, period. Put them in seg. Put them in their own fucking pod together, okay? Introducing that risk, one, is a huge liability for the prison and for the state, if it's a state facility, because guess who pays for that shit? We do. Second of all, it's about introducing an unnecessary risk for an already risky situation. But XANDERHAL, one, doesn't know the argument against trans women being introduced into female prisons. Two, doesn't know how the prison system works. And three, doesn't know anything about trans shit in general. So we can't even begin to have this argument because XANDERHAL is unable to identify the problem in between gasping for breath because he is breathing oxygen and not marijuana smoke.
Is that your concern when rape is already a problem? And you seem to at least agree that rape is an issue. Why are we just okay with the rape as long as it's not being done by or involving trans people? Or just like, I assume that's the concern, is rape. That's always what I hear is the concern. People who tend to enunciate offensive language are childishly bigoted, yeah. I heard gaming chair are actually garbage and you should get an office chair. It depends. It really depends, honestly.
It doesn't depend. Always get an office chair. Always get an office chair over a gaming chair any fucking day. You know who has to sit at a desk all day? Secretaries. Secretaries are on their ass in a little fucking office chair all day. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Those bitches know how to sit comfortably in a chair. Get an office chair. Never get these fucking racerback gaming chairs. Show me a gamer that has good posture. Look at Asmongold's posture. Look at Destiny's posture. Look at XANDERHAL's posture. Look at all these bitches' posture. Okay, they can't stand up straight to save their lives. You want to take posture advice from the fucking Hunchback of Notre Dame. Okay.
The best kind of chair you can get, it depends on your desk, really. What really makes the difference is your desk chair combo. If you can get a like standing desk, one that can switch between standing and sitting, that's ideal because you can adjust the height. And then from there, you can just like shop for a chair that's most comfortable for you. And then you don't really have much to worry about in regards to like clearance.
Also, this is just a me thing. It's not in regards to, it's in regard to. And that just irritates me because it's always stupid people that confuse those two. Sorry.
How close you can get or far you can get from the desk and still be comfortable and reach the mouse and keyboard. A lot of it is in the desk, not just the chair.
And they talk to actual women inmates. One who has been released, I think both of them have been released, but their experiences in the women prison while trans women, biological males, were transferred to the prison while they were there. And the insanity that came when those males were transferred to a woman's prison. It is, I can't even believe I'm actually having this conversation. It's so absurd and insane. Now, before we move forward, I just want to let you know that I spent like a week in jail once.
Oh, okay. Let's get the story.
I'm laughing because it was insane. And I was actually in a woman's prison because it was prior to my transition here in Los Angeles. And it was not fun and it was not okay. And it was pretty rough. But I have to tell you this. There were no men in the prison, okay? And I can't even imagine being in that space. You're cramped in. It's small. It's horrible. It's insane. It's not fun. It's its own world. Let me just tell you. There's rules and regulations and all kinds of stuff. But it's with women. When you pluck a man in a situation, I don't care that it's a trans woman. I don't care.
Okay, so we're just saying that like trans women are men is the claim here. So just blatant transphobia. It really sucks how much of an
blatant transphobia. Thank you, XANDERHAL. No one had any fucking idea until you clarified. Thank you so much. I think that it's like just exceptionally irritating because like the issue isn't XANDERHAL is just so dumb. There's so many things that are going to go into curating and creating like a safe environment when you're housing people who are violent, who are criminals, who have been convicted of crimes, people who are, you know, unwilling to have any consideration for their fellow man. There's a lot of things that go into that to just be like, oh, well, it's very simple. We just put everybody in this building and everybody in this building and we're done. It's like, there's a lot that goes into it. It's just he has like one brain cell, and so like any kind of like very serious nuanced situation, and everybody says nuance is like a thought terminating cliche, and in a sense it is, but there's a lot that goes into conversations about how to ethically house people who have violated the laws, the norms, and the rules of society. How do we make sure that they're safe? How do we make sure society is safe from them? How do we make sure that they're safe from each other? These are like very complex, very heavy questions to ask, and to say like, well, it's very simple, you guys, like, don't rape. It's like, wow, congratulations, you just solved prison rape. Wow, XANDERHAL, you're so brave.
Audience there is for it too, you know? Like there's a very easy grift for conservatives to like want their token trans like bigots. And then of course there's the there's a lot of trans and LGBT people out there that go on the internet and they look for someone to look up to who is also trans. And sadly, they're going to notice Blair White long before they're going to notice ContraPoints. You know? It sucks, but like these loud, hateful fucks are the most...
I will say one of the reasons that Blair White probably gets a little bit more traction is because she makes more than one video per year. I love ContraPoint. She's a queen. Slay. Love her. Endlessly, okay? But Blair White does churn out content like nobody's fucking business, and it's like quick, easy, digestible, like 5-minute little videos or whatever. Like, apples to oranges, my guy. Apples to oranges.
Prominent and attractive to normies trans figures out there. Outside of, I guess, like trans people who make normie content, which is, I guess, the most effective types of pro-trans advocacy is just a trans content creator who makes really good content that's really well liked and forces transphobes to be like, oh, but I like their videos, but they're trans, but their videos are so good. And then maybe that cracks through some shells. I've actually noticed a lot of people become less transphobic due to like random MMO content creators that ended up being trans that make really fun videos. So yeah, it's really shitty that these content creators are some of the most prominent in that sphere, but it is what it is. Not only that, he's insulting trans women. He's insinuating trans women would be violent if they were there. No, what he's doing right now is doing that like bizarre... men have this like evil essence to them type of...
No, is that there's like a unique aspect to it. Because like... please don't make me do this. I don't want to do this because it's like, it's actually incredibly simple. And this is something that like a lot of like, forgive me, identity politics away. This is something that a lot of cis men don't ever think about. There is like a unique element of like sexual aggression and sexual violence that is perpetuated by men to women. There's like a unique aspect to that because of like the power difference, because of the sex organs that are involved. Like it's such a sensitive, delicate little question, and to just be like, well, it's because men are bad and violent and stupid, even though Buck Angel never fucking said that. It's just, please, XANDERHAL, please, I'm begging you to like pull your brain cells together, like the fucking Transformers, to like create one coherent thought and just try for like 1 second to like just think about what you're saying. It's like, well, it's just rape. Does it really matter who's doing the raping? It's like, I would say for a lot of people, yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
Vibe that, like, it will disrupt the women's vibes, you know? That's what I imagine.
Guys, do you ever hate when your vibe gets ruined by rape? I hate that. I hate that.
he's getting at.
They're still male. I'm still female. When you put a man in that...
Listen, guys, you have to like me. I get it.
I know we're not making fun. I can make fun of Buck Angel's voice because he's my kind. You can't make fun of Buck Angel's voice. Xanderhal, please.
May literally do everything in my life to reaffirm to myself that I'm a male because that's what I need for my own mental health. But I promise you guys, I'm totally not deluded into thinking I'm really a man. I'm totally a woman, guys. Please continue to like me. Please continue to donate. I'll keep on shitting on trans people. Just please give me money. Okay.
That situation, all hell is going to break loose, especially when the males are still intact physically.
What the fuck is he talking about? Are we pretending like prisons are these like extremely well, like we have to operate to...
He really can't follow that. He really can't follow that. He can't follow that he's saying that, like, if a trans woman hasn't had bottom surgery, there's, like, a unique risk. He really can't follow that? Really?
To even agree with this argument, we have to operate under the assumption that the prison system is even in an okay state. Like, a decent or acceptable state as
okay, we're doing the really big brain argument where, like, it's flawed, so who cares anyway? Rape away! Like, oh, okay.
Is, if these problems exist, if they are even possible to exist, then we need to reform the prison system.
Yeah, guys, there's nothing that we can do about rape in prisons right now. We need to fix the entire system. Sorry, until we can figure out what we're doing, it's rape time. Like, what are you doing right now?
The fact that men and women could be in the same building at all, held in... Not to mention, by the way, to be very clear, they are male guards.
And those are the ones that are committing sexual violence against the female inmates, Xanderhal. That is why, statistically speaking, there are higher rates of sexual violence and rape in female prisons than male prisons because of the guards. Please kill me.
You guys know that, like, the COs at the prison, at the jails, like female prisons and female jails, are also male. The warden, a lot of the, like...
And that's why there's higher rates of sexual assault in female prisons. Well, why would you even start to have this conversation if you don't even have, like, the cursory knowledge?
Administrators and stuff, there are constantly men watching and filling the building. And not to mention, a fair few of those male guards have done sexual assault on female prisoners. It's happened. But
we have to fix the entire system, so...
More often than not, it doesn't happen. But, like, to pretend...
Actually, it's the opposite, sir.
And, like, female prisons are, like, these girls-only buildings or something. Like, what are you talking about? There's probably more men in, like, a female prison than there are women when you consider the amount of, like, COs and administrators and staff they have on site. Like, there's janitors and shit like that. Like, there's doctors and medical personnel and people filing paperwork and people
Doctors in prison, you say? That's a new one.
At the front desk, at, like, the receiving and discharge area and all that shit. You know, like, I've watched a lot of prison shows. I know how these things work.
Oh, he's seen a lot of prison shows. He knows how this works. He's seen, like, jail shows. He hasn't seen prison shows, okay? Like, oh my god, no.
To pretend like a female prison is, like, some, like, woman-only space. Super, like, you know, no matter...
It's not. And the argument very clearly that, like, radical feminists and TERFs obviously make is that even in an environment like a prison... where males, are the ones that are overseeing these women, there's still, like, a significant increase in sexual violence, which there is, and so that's why they're like, we don't need any more rapists in the jail. Like, how can he not follow this? How could he not follow this?
How bad it gets, at least it's just the girls, you know? Like, what the fuck?
With their genitalia. And possibly not taking hormones.
Why are you making fun of his voice, Xanderhal? Like, you literally look like you just crawled out of, like, the fucking ash and rubble of Hiroshima. Look at you, and you're making fun of others. What is there to make fun of, Xanderhal? Come on, please.
Absurd, people. So anyway, I don't want to make...
And before I get called transphobic for making fun of Buck Angel's voice, I'm sorry, I get to make fun of Buck Angel for being...
No, you actually don't, bitch. That's our shit, okay? It's called lateral violence, and we're allowed to engage in it. You're not, okay? Fuck you.
Annoying cunt, okay? I get to do that. Buck Angel being bigoted in the most smug, annoying, like, way possible.
Yeah, if you're smug and annoying and condescending as a trans person, Xanderhal gets to misgender you and make fun of your voice. Ally of the year. Ally of the year. Do I find you irritating and insufferable? Congratulations, woman. Fuck you, woman. Got him. Oh, okay, Xanderhal. Very cool, very cool.
Well, I get to make fun of that, all right?
Yeah, fuck him.
This is too long, but even though I think this is one...
Trans people who I don't like aren't actually trans. As the king of trans people, all I'm saying is, like, if you don't behave the way that I want you to, I'm not going to call you a man. You're a bitch to me, okay?
One of the most important pieces that I've done. Honestly, I just feel so disgusted.
Please.
So this first one, and before I move forward...
Bro, just to stop virtue signaling, get to the fucking point already. What the fuck? Shilling, okay.
Has passed legislation allowing transgender inmates in the state's correctional facilities to be assigned housing based on their gender identity.
That's when the males started, by the numbers, identifying themselves as females, to the point where we were now giving them transgender identification cards so that they can purchase female products at the canteen, such as Moo Moo.
What I love about this that's so funny to me is the implication that, like, well, guys, if they rape a woman in the prison, and they identify as a woman, then they get away with it. It's like, what?
That's not the implication. The implication is that, like, there's a higher propensity of it to happen. Because, like, I want everybody to be like, XANDERHAL can't do this, so we're going to do it together, you guys. We're going to do it together, okay? I want everybody to take your big brain hat and put it on, okay? Everybody, we're going to do a little role play activity, okay? You are in prison, okay? You're in prison. There is a set of rules and conduct and behavior that everyone engages in where you do not narc. You do not snitch, okay? What is the phrase? Fill in the blank for me. Snitches get... hugs and kisses? No. Snitches get stitches. Very good. Good job. We're all following along, okay? You are in prison. There is an inmate who assaults you physically, sexually, steals your shit, is giving you a hard time, is picking on you, is stealing your little commissary items and shit like that. Who are you going to tell? Are you going to narc? Are you going to snitch? The answer is no. Why is there a problem with drugs in prison? Because no one will snitch. Why is it that people can beat the absolute ever-living fuck out of other inmates, never get additional sentences, never get additional time? Why? Because nobody fucking narcs on each other. It's part of the culture in prison. So you want to tell me, oh, well, they're going to report that they were raped and then, then they're just going to let them go free. No, they're going to get in trouble. That is highly contingent, one, on somebody reporting it, which we already know is like incredibly rare in prison. Two, in the context of sexual violence, XANDERHAL, I know that you're not this dumb. What is the most underreported crime in the history of the fucking universe? Sexual assault and rape. Is this not a huge conversation that we have every single fucking day about rape culture? Is the underreport of rape how hard it is to get a conviction for rape or sexual assault? But somehow in prison, if you say, rape, they lock them away in seg for the rest of their fucking life, and then they give them the electric chair in the last final 40 seconds of their human experience? Notoriously, people in prison love telling on each other, for starters. And two, notoriously, anytime that there's sexual assault or sexual violence, the very first thing that happens is the police do a full investigation, they get all the evidence, all the DNA, and then they fry them in the electric chamber. That definitely happens. Like, hello? What?
Wait. You got, like, they do realize that, like, the chances of a rape have not changed based on, like, a trans person being introduced.
The chances of rape are not escalated if you put somebody who is sexually violent around people who are not sexually violent, because that's what this conversation is about. The conversation is about people who have a predilection of violence, aggression, and sexual violence and aggression being transferred into a place where this, like, isn't the baseline, okay? It's like, that is what people are talking about when they're talking about this.
Introduced, or even a man being introduced, if there is already a prevalence and possibility and a clear enabling of prison rape. That's the problem with the prison system.
True. You guys, prison rape, inevitable. So I have an idea. Let's put all the rapists in with everybody else. It's inevitable, you guys. Like, it's already a problem. Until we can dismantle the prison system brick by brick by brick, rapists are going to rape. And we just got to let it happen.
We got to watch the cool video of, like, the Nordic prisons after this.
Makeup, bras, tampons.
In September, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed Senate Bill 132 into law.
We had to transfer male inmates to female institutions. Oh, they were excited. They were like kids in a candy store. They knew they were going.
Yep, I know. Oh my god. I swear I didn't pre-watch. I swear.
He's a fucking liar. He did pre-watch that. There's no shot that he got that word for word at the beginning of this video. He's a fucking liar. There's no way. No shot.
I swear I didn't pre-watch. Do you want to know why he
Lies.
said they were like kids in a candy store? Because he's making it the fuck up. Because that's the kind of shit that people say based off of vibes. Like, yeah, if we let this happen, these men are going to go in there and they'll be like kids in a candy store. I literally made up a quote that sounds like what these people would say off the top of my head. And he said it word for word.
He's that smart, you guys. He totally didn't pre-watch it. That was organic.
Because frankly, what these people actually say...
And I'm the fucking Pope. Okay.
Isn't far from being exact. I knew nothing about the situation before watching this video, and I was able to guess what their argument would be. And I've never heard this guy speak or make that argument.
He's so
I hear people
profound.
make that argument like that are similar to him, but it's just like these people they're making this shit up. It's like doesn't it sound like there'd be rapists doing this, and they'd be like kids in a candy store in a women's prison. They'd just be allowed to be raping everywhere. The guards will do nothing, and they'll just be allowed to do it. They'll be afraid of getting canceled if they do anything about it because it'd be transphobic.
True. This is so true. Prisons notoriously are like the wokest place on earth. Very true.
To stop trans women from
They're really worried about getting canceled. You know who was really, like, concerned about cancel culture? It was Jeffrey Dahmer. He was really worried about that. Very true.
Raping the cis women. You know, it's like, okay, sure.
From a men's prison to a female's prison, and we will watch them take off on the bus.
So that
Hold on a second.
Excited. They were like kids in a candy store. They knew they were going from a men's prison to a female's prison, and we will watch them take off on the bus.
Why is everything all blurred? Is there a reason why we're not seeing, like, the name of the outlet this was taken from? Let's see what sources there are. I wonder if Buck has cited his sources. Do you want to know where that clip came from? Cruel and Unusual Punishment, the male takeover of female prisons, trailer. It literally, he got that clip.
Yeah, it's a duck. If I watch a documentary and the documentary is like about January 6th and it's like insane conservative MAGA people stormed the Capitol in bizarre attempted insurrection that was pathetically awful. If I rip that from that documentary, does that mean that I'm like suddenly like a communist? Like, what are you talking? It's a clip from a fucking documentary where they're investigating the law in California that allows transgender inmates to use women's facilities. Like, yeah, that's a yeah. You have people that work at the prison that give statements for these interviews. Like, Jesus Christ.
From the trailer of a video from Independent Women's Forum. Let's see what this channel's about.
I was working at
Louisiana Superintendent Cade Bumley, laser focused on academic achievement, students over systems, cruel and unusual punishment, sexual assault victim shares trauma of prison's trans policies, Save Sisterhood press conference, Kelly Williams Bowler, jailed for enrolling her children in a nearby school, May Mailman.
Oh my God, he's eating shit because they have one video about trans stuff and the rest of it is about literally go fuck yourself. Like, what is this? What, he thought that this was going to be an entire YouTube channel that was dedicated to just shitting all over trans people, and you have one documentary that they put out. Okay, good one, XANDERHAL. Wow, you're so why don't you edit this segment out?
Led counsel in Kappa Kappa Gamma lawsuit. Hannah Mir, plaintiff in the Kappa Kappa cruel and unusual punishment prison guard.
And the funny thing is if he knew anything about this, I'm like with 95% confidence this is about the sorority girls that sued because they let a trans woman into the sorority house or whatever, and the trans woman had like a boner all the time and shit like that, and it made all the girls uncomfortable, and so they reported it, and then they got struck with something, and so they're filing a lawsuit. If he knew anything about that, I'm almost positive that's what that case is about.
Resigns after immoral, dangerous trans policies. Episode 3.
Oh, and this is from the same one, mind you. This is from the same one.
Bring back our girls' voices now.
Look at how far he
channel too. The transphobia seems to be their first big like high view thing, as you'd expect.
Oh my God!
Like you'll.
Oh, it's just the high views. It's just the high views when you realize that it's not like a deranged like trans hate YouTube channel. They're just doing like a documentary on this shit. LOL.
See this right? Like a channel gets like 100 views for like years and years and years. When you scroll back into their video history, and then they make one right wing grift video because maybe they're a bit conservative and they just took a shot at it. It does like 80 times better than any video they made before, and then slowly they just become a right wing grift channel. Yep.
Oh yeah, it's totally happening. True. It's happening.
So yeah, I don't know if that guy has like literally any. I don't know if that guy has literally any credentials or like evidence that he is not.
It's a guy that works at the prison. You fucking idiot. Oh my God.
Talking out of his ass, to be honest.
Listen to what she has to say.
During my incarceration, there was a policy that was just case.
This is from one of those documentaries, the same channel. Wait, is this literally just Buck Angel taking clips from that channel and like ranting about them? It is, isn't it? He just took clips from the TERF propaganda channel. And he's gonna like
How is it a TERF propaganda channel when it's literally there's like one video about trans? What are you talking about?
Upload clips and it's like, yeah, these are like look at these like testimonies, guys. This is a big problem.
By case, as there were safety needs for trans women or others, it was considered by committee, and people trickled in, one here, one there. But in 2012, there was a convicted serial rapist who was transferred into the Central California Women's Facility in.
Who would have thought that Malcolm was right the whole fucking time, you guys? Who would have guessed? Who would have peered into the crystal ball to determine that Malcolm was right the entire fucking time? Is that this whole thing is about somebody who is a convicted serial rapist, identifying as a woman, and getting transferred to a women's prison. What have I been saying this whole fucking time? It's about taking somebody who is sexually violent and putting them in with a group of fucking women. That's what the whole thing is about. That's what people are pissed about. Like, come on.
Chowchilla, California. And it was extremely traumatic for all women.
Wait, are we not segregating those who commit that kind of crime? Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about this shit. No, XANDERHAL, you are not segregated by crime when you go to jail or prison. If you literally robbed a grandma and then you have somebody who's murdered 972 women, both of you go into the same fucking pod, okay? Like, what do you... This is one of the biggest, like, fuck yous when people are arguing about this kind of shit. When they're like, trans women should be in this prison, and trans men should be in this prison, and cis women should be... It's like, you segregate people based on offense. If you have people there for, like, petty bullshit crimes, keep them away from violent offenders so they aren't, like, learning all of these behaviors in prison around all these violent people, and then they go out into the community and they're worse off for it. And then you take all the people that are exceptionally violent and dangerous, and you keep them away from everybody else. Like... Okay, sorry.
Let me look into this. I feel like fact check.
Let me do a little Googling to see if people are housed by crime in prison. This is Xander. This is who watches prison shows, you guys. He's watched Prison Break, and he doesn't know this.
I've got the fact checker bug on me. Richard Masbruch. Okay. Life as a transgender inmate confronting a hostile system behind bars in court. I would just as soon cut someone if they messed with me, says Lady J, but protection from transgender women remains an uphill battle in prison culture. In the visiting room at San Quentin State Penitentiary, 25
He literally can't read. It's amazing. He's literally fucking illiterate. It's amazing.
miles north of San Francisco, Lady J. Clark looks around the room. You see, she says, everyone is looking at us. The large space is filled with inmates and their families. Everyone is talking, playing card games, and eating food from the vending machines. Because San Quentin is a men's prison. The inmates are all men, except for Lady J, who has been in the prison system for more than 20 years. Mid-discussion, Lady J speaks animatedly about...
I thought that we were looking up if people are segregated by crimes in prison. I thought that's what we were looking up, but now we're reading something different. Interesting.
wanting to have boobs down to her knees, like an old Southern lady, before adding she, quote, just wants them to keep getting bigger and bigger. She has an imposing presence, brash, tall, and indeed large-chested, which is obvious despite the unflattering chambray prison uniform, or chambray? I don't know if that's a color. The same worn by all male prisoners. Her hair is cropped short.
Chambray.
A style she achieves, she tells me, by twisting paper towels into long worms and using them as curlers. Lady J came out in 1973 at the age of 12 and presents to any are in California prison. By the way, submit for half of all transgender inmates experience rape. Oh! Who would have guessed that? More than half of all...
Okay, let's do our own fact checking. Percentage of female prisoners who are raped. Also, I don't need to tell anyone. You literally do not even need to fact check this. They do not segregate prisons based on crimes, okay? Prevalence rates at the highest female inmates, with 21.2% reporting incident of some type of inmate-on-inmate sexual violence in the last 6 months. I want like a total. Oh, here we go. It's 86% total. This is PREA Resource Center. 86% who have spent time in jail report that they have been sexually assaulted. Okay. Yeah, okay, so again, let's zoom out on the macro, okay? Rape is bad, okay? Start there. Everybody write that down. Rape is bad. 1, rape occurs at higher rates in female prisons than in male prisons, mostly because of the guards. Second of all, transgender people have an exceptionally high rate of violence, okay? So to be completely fair, it doesn't really matter what prison you put a trans person in. They're probably going to get fucked with, okay? It doesn't really matter. They're going to get fucked with either way. That's the reality of being trans. Yay, trans. Anyway, the conversation here, and if we back up just a little bit, is that there are people who are sexually violent, usually towards women, who are identifying as women and are being moved into general population in women's prisons. That's what people are concerned about. And we even saw the example of someone who is a serial rapist who identifies as a woman who is getting moved to a women's facility, and that is the concern, that by moving a serial rapist to general population of a women's prison, that rape will increase. Did we all get there in one piece? It's very simple. I don't know why we keep getting lost.
Of all transgender inmates experience rape, as in are the ones raped. Prison culture also creates an atmosphere where transgender inmates may submit to sexual assault for protection from physical violence. This is very common, especially if you're gay in prison, apparently. It's very common for this to happen. All under the...
Apparently. I mean, yeah, XANDERHAL, you're the one that watches all of these crime shows. Everybody knows that you have to have, like, a prison bitch. Everybody knows that. Okay, come on. You literally are the prison expert because you saw Orange is the New Black. Come on.
Callous indifference of prison authorities. Lady J describes the violence in Calipataria State Prison during the 1990s, where she quickly landed in administrative segregation, mainly on
Keep going.
Kern County State Prison in California.
Okay, this has nothing to do with what I was talking about.
Maybe last name, I'd imagine, doesn't dead name.
Oh, we get a cute little window of XANDERHAL typing because he types like this. He doesn't know how to type. He types like this. Coveted content.
The CR decided to house Sherry Masbruch, a transgender woman, in a women's prison. Both the media and advocacy groups were distressed. Okay, so this actually happened, at least. Masbruch was convicted of...
Do you think the documentary just made everything up? Do you think that they literally just made it up? This is literally a law that Gavin Newsom signed. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? At least it's real. What are you talking about?
Brutally raping a woman, and her presence at a women's prison troubled many. No transgender woman has been moved to a women's prison in California since. Some jails, like Cook in LA County, have begun to house transgender inmates in special housing units, where they are safer and can gain access to counseling and special treatment. However, on the whole, transgender inmates are automatically placed in situations that might be dangerous. Wait a second. So it's literally one person? So this Sherry Masbruch person...
I think that one serial rapist being introduced into a population in which they like to rape is one too many, especially in a controlled environment like a prison. If we know that this person is a rapist, maybe we don't put them with, like, the target of their rape. Like, that's just a thought. That's just a thought. Like, if you had somebody who was convicted for raping dogs, would you put them in the pound with the dogs? Probably not. If you had somebody who was convicted of raping grandmas, would you put the grandma rapers in with the old ladies in prison? Probably not. It's like I hate to appeal to common sense, but this is such a common sense thing. This is such a common sense thing. If you send somebody to prison who's like violently racist, say that you have somebody who literally will kill anybody who is not white if they come across them. They just can't control themselves, okay? And then you're like, I have a great idea. Let's put them in general population where there's plenty of people who are not white. And you just let them go around with like the fork from their fucking dinner tray, just like stabbing the shit out of everybody. And they're like, who could have predicted? It's not rocket science. It's not. If you are a serial rapist who rapes women, maybe we don't put you with the women. It's just a thought. It's just a thought, you guys. Just a thought.
Is like the Nashville shooter of the prison system. The one trans person who's like maybe a legitimate threat to women that did like a really bad thing. And it's like everyone agrees it's bad, but now the right is going to say, this one person did a thing. There is an explosion in this. I don't know.
No, it's because everybody is like, the whole argument is that this law should have exceptions, that this law should not segregate purely based on identity, that we should take into consideration the context of the crime that has been committed. Again, if you have somebody whose like whole thing is like serially raping women, maybe we don't put them with the women. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. But what do I know? Ugh, being a woman is hard.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like Grums and his sphere are freaking out about Call of Duty. I don't even know if they actually did this. It might have been
Call
a
of
made-up
Duty
screenshot, like a photoshopped thing. Grums does like start entire campaigns based off of a screenshot, or sorry, a photoshopped image. He's done it like 4 times now. But apparently they added like a trans bullet skin to the game, and Grums' response was, "How could you do this when there is a explosion in transgender terrorism?" And it's like, there was the one shooter, guys. Come on, like you had one.
I mean, he's not wrong, but I feel like one spree murderer is a lot. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't like serial killers, but that's just me.
One person, and now it's like it's been years now, and it's going to be an explosion in transgender violence. At this point, we might as well just say all white dudes are terrorists, right? If we're really going to go that way with shootings, okay? Like, if we want to do
look in the mirror, XANDERHAL.
Do the math. We want to do the math, then all white dudes are terrorists now. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
XANDERHAL, terrorist confirmed.
Honestly, just for using this as a source, I think Buck Angel is like actually like vile. Like actually like a pile.
It's actually vile that there's a documentary where they're looking at the situation where they're moving a serial rapist from a men's prison to a women's prison, and people are concerned about the presence of this serial rapist in the women's prison. Buck Angel's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit. We're even talking what a womanly thing to do. Woman behavior.
Of steaming shit. Let's read some of the comments. I have never heard of a trans man prisoner demanding to be put in a men's prison. Never. And then Buck Angel hearted that. Yeah, that's actually the joke, is that Buck Angel himself would insist that he's a woman and be the, like, tall, muscular...
Buck Angel's, like, he's only, like, 5'6", isn't he? Anyway, that's besides the point. I'm getting sunlocked. The point is that nobody wants to get raped at prison, XANDERHAL. I don't think that anybody is like, woo, I can't wait to go to prison and get raped. It's like thinking about your priorities and being like, wow, where am I going to go where I'm less likely to get raped? And again, XANDERHAL literally started this off by joking and laughing that Buck Angel would get raped in prison. Okay, so we care a lot about rape. We care so much about rape. We care so much about trans people. But if it's Buck Angel in prison, you guys, go gadget rape discourse.
Bearded, bald man insisting on being put into a woman's prison. Using tax dollars to pay for tampons for men. To call that insanity is to be too kind. Jesus Christ, that's happening. As a woman who...
They literally said... A part of this is that the people that are being transferred to women's prisons they get identification cards so they can buy, quote unquote, women's items at commissary. That is part of it, yes. That is part of it, yes. That is part of it, yes. Okay, yes, that's literally part of the bill.
Who was raped by a few different people before I hit double digits. I don't feel comfortable with men taking over women's spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms. Too bad, too bad. There will be many women who have been raped that will try to...
Did he dead ass just say too bad to this lady who said that she's been raped? What?
That's happening. As a woman who was raped by a few different people before I hit double digits, I don't feel comfortable with men taking over women's spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms. Too bad, too bad.
What? You guys, I'm really uncomfortable with the idea of men being in women's spaces because I've been raped so many times. Bozo! Like, what just happened? What just happened? No! Say joke. Say psych. Say psych.
There will be many women who have been raped that will try to push against the trans acceptance movement because they will never see trans women as not a threat. Their uncomfortableness with trans identity does not trump people's rights. They can go fuck themselves.
Oh no! Oh my god! What the fuck? Oh my god, dude! No! No! Look at our leftist dog. Look at our trans ally. No! We're never getting rights. Somebody comes to you with a legitimate concern, you know. Here I am in this women's prison. I have been raped many, many times in my life. Double digits, mind you. I've been raped a lot. And I see that you're transferring this serial rapist to the women's prison. And I am concerned. I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about my safety. I'm concerned about potentially being raped again. And your trans ally says, that fucking sucks. Trans rights. Wakanda forever. Why would you ever say, oh my god, dude. Sorry that you got raped, loser. Trans rights. What? Come on, dude. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Well, yeah. Like, tell them, I'm sorry that happened to you, but get over yourself. That is the only valid response to people who say, well, I was raped and I don't feel comfortable with trans people. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Trans people are still allowed to use public facilities.
Literally, go fuck yourself, rape victim. I don't care about your trauma. Please keep this man away from literally, well, he keeps himself away from everybody living in this mold-infested basement. The mold is really starting to get to him. He's like the male J.K. Rowling. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. There are tactful conversations to have about people's well-being, their, you know, recovery from a traumatic event in the context of like being sensitive to other people's identities and shit like that. But for somebody to be like, yeah, I've been raped, and it's like, that fucking sucks, doesn't it? Get out of the way, loser. Trans rights are coming. It's like, one, why would you, what an optical nightmare. You're not even trans. You don't deal with any of the backlash from this. What the fuck is your problem? But then two, you can still be sensitive to people's trauma while saying like, bigotry is bad. You could do both of those things. Like, I love women. I support all women, except for women who don't like trans people. Then get raped. Like, what? This. Oh, please say psych. Please say psych. Please say psych. Oh my god.
Anyway, with all that said, I think this is a pretty good segment. If you thought
this was it, that's how he ends this. This was a pretty good segment. Get fucked, rape victims. What a way to end it. What a way to end it. What a way to end it. That was a great segment, guys. Anyway. Get fucked, rape victims. Like, okay, hang on. What are the comments on this video? Nobody's saying anything about... Nobody's going to say anything about the rape thing. Nobody. No one. No one is like, maybe you shouldn't say that. No one. This person says, if a cis woman raper was put in the same cell with other women, that would be a problem. The issue isn't trans women, is the person... The issue is that this person is a serial rapist who is being moved to the women's facility. Please. Maybe I'm just too woke, you guys. Maybe I'm too woke, but I don't know. I think that like we shouldn't say get fucked or get good to rape victims. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. That's just me. That's just a me thing, I guess. Oh my god. Look at my ally dog. I'm going to get out of jail in no time. Snyderman, you silly goose. XANDERHAL knows everything about prison. Don't even worry about it. If you have questions about prison, ask XANDERHAL. You know that movie Get Hard? The one that's got Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart in it? And it's like, it's kind of just like a shitty, like, slapstick comedy show. And basically, so the premise for anybody who's never seen this, the premise is that Will Ferrell is going to go to prison for, I think it's like money laundering or something. I don't know. He's going to prison. Okay. He's going to prison. And the one black guy that he knows is Kevin Hart. And because Kevin Hart is a black guy, Will Ferrell's character thinks that he's been to prison. So he asks him, can you help me get in shape for prison? You know, can you teach me so I'm not anybody's bitch in prison? Like that kind of thing. And the whole joke is that Kevin Hart has never been to prison. Will Ferrell just assumed that he had been to prison because he was black. And so he's teaching him like all this dumb shit where he's like training him on how to like steal people's food and like run around and like, you know, talk tough and act like a gangster and shit like that. That's XANDERHAL. XANDERHAL is the Kevin Hart of the situation, okay? XANDERHAL is like, listen, if you guys don't want to get raped in prison, you need to listen to me. But if you did get raped in prison, it's your fault. LOL. Like literally get raped, bozo. Trans rights forever. It's like, what are you... I can't. I should have played Roller Coaster Tycoon again. I didn't want to hear all of that. I should have kept playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. I could have been building my roller coaster park, you guys. Instead, I had to listen to XANDERHAL literally be like, get good, rape victims. Like, tragic. There's so much to unpack. We should just throw away the fucking suitcase, you guys. There is so much to unpack. Let's just throw it away.